Hey guys, Luke here. For today's video, I'm going to be talking about Kyle Flanagan. Now, he's just signed a multi-year deal with the Bulldogs. I saw an article that said, he's signed a monster deal. I don't know if you consider it a monster deal. I mean, he signed for $400,000. Now, considering probably 5 years ago, the Bulldogs signed Michael Leacher for $300,000 a year. I think $400,000 for Kyle Flanagan in this day and age, I think it's a pretty good deal. I don't see that as paying overs, especially for a half. Especially for a player with as much potential as him. Now, he's only 22 years old, and look, I don't know what the Roosters were thinking, honestly. They had Cooper Cronk for the last couple of years. They had Mitchell Pearce before that, so they've had a very, very good halfback for the last 10 years or so. At least a star first-grade halfback. I know a lot said about Mitchell Pearce in terms of his origin ability, but in terms of his ability for the Roosters, he's been very, very good. And then you bring in Cooper Cronk, which is even better player, probably the best halfback of our generation, and then you want to replace him with essentially a rookie. I think he'd only played a handful of games for the Sharks, and that was just as a backup. He had never played a full first grade season, and then they've expected him to come into this Rooster side and sort of steer the ship around. Luke Keary, he was very, very good, but I honestly didn't think Luke Keary played too different to what he did when he was with Cooper Cronk, which I think sort of, I don't know, it's not a great representation on Keary. Now, I think Keary's easily the best 5'8" in the comp. I know there's a lot of talk about, your Jack Whitens, your Cody Walkers and such. But for me, Luke Keary is the best 5'8". What he's done in previous grand finals, I think, has been remarkable. And yeah, he just has great instincts for a 5'8". But a lot of the talk was, Luke Keary is going to have to step up and do everything in the halves. And look, I think he played very well, but he spent a lot of the season out with concussions and that sort of stuff. So it's not even like Kyle Flanagan had the whole season with Keary. When they played together, I thought they were pretty decent. But in terms of Kyle Flanagan, Keary, it was mostly like a 50-50. Keary didn't really step up and take on more responsibility, in my opinion. And I feel like Kyle Flanagan's been left out to dry by the Roosters. They needed an excuse, essentially, as to why they didn't do the three-peat. And I think everyone can look at it and say, well, a three-peat's pretty hard. Like, it's no one's ever done it for a reason. But for the Roosters, I think they're trying to justify it and going, well, look, we only really lost Cooper Cronk. He's the only difference, and we performed way differently. But I think it was just a combination of things, and I don't think Kyle Flanagan was really it. Now, look, obviously, he did play a part in it. When you go from Cooper Cronk to Kyle Flanagan, a rookie, there is going to be a big drop-off, a big difference. But for me, it's more like the Roosters knew that was coming, so I don't know why they were so surprised. Even when you add in Lachlan Lamb and this Sam Walker and whoever they're going to play in there, Drew Hutchinson, I don't really see them being any better than Kyle Flanagan. So it is puzzling to me. I think it's puzzling to a lot of people, but maybe Kyle Flanagan was on a bigger contract than what we thought, and I don't know, there's talk that there was some attitude problems. I mean, his dad is Shane Flanagan, not one of the more respected people in the NRL, and apparently he was ringing up Robinson when he dropped Kyle, so maybe there is some attitude problems. But for me, as a Bulldog supporter, I'm absolutely thrilled with this signing. I mean, $400,000 for him. I mean, it's not like a huge amount in the salary cap, and also the Bulldogs are only paying $300 of it. Apparently, Roosters are going to chip in for $100. So yeah, for me, I feel like we've got a great player with a lot of potential on unders. And look, I thought he did show a lot. He definitely showed a lot more than the current Bulldogs halves. Kieran Foran's obviously leaving. And look, he will be missed, but when Kieran Foran was on the field, very, very good. But the problem was, you got to mention that when he was on the field. I mean, he was there for multiple years, and I think this was the only year he really kind of didn't have too many injuries, and which coincided with us having our worst year out of all the seasons that he's been there, which, I don't know if it's worth mentioning, but there you go. So Kieran Foran, look, for me, not a huge loss, because, look, going forward, he's not going to take us to the top 8 or win us a premiership. He might have been all right for this season, but, look, going forward, he's not going to be there. It's what he's breaking down. He works for Manly because he can go straight into that system, and he can have a combination with Cherry Evans. He's already been there, and he can push for a premiership with Manly, with the Trbojevic brothers. They just got to stay fit, Manly, and they're a chance, especially with Kieran Foran now. Whereas at the Bulldogs, we were still building. So we're not really going to build anything with Kieran Foran, because by the time we're actually up to scratch, he's going to be like like sort of mid-30s or something. He's probably busted, a couple more injuries. So yeah, it doesn't make sense to me to keep Kieran Foran, and that's why I was kind of happy. The only thing is they've gone out and they signed Blake Green, and they announced it after he'd just done his ACL as well. So I can understand the short-term thinking of like, all right, we've got to get through this season, and we don't want to spend a heap on Kieran Foran, but then bringing in Blake Green as well. I know he'd been at the Bulldogs before, but that didn't make sense to me. But a lot of the other signings do for the Bulldogs. Kyle Flanagan especially. Look, he's on the market. The Bulldogs netted a half. We've tried Lewis, we've tried Wakeham. I think out of all of them, I think Lewis is your best option. At least he can defend. But then we've also got Averillo. We can maybe chuck him in the halves. Maybe chuck him at fullback. I don't know where they're going to play everybody. But the more important thing is the other signings that they've made. You look at Nick Cotric, superstar signing. He's just made it into the New South Wales side. He's very, very young as well. So he's got a lot of games ahead of him, essentially. And honestly, for the money, I know sort of initial thoughts were, oh, we've paid overs for him, but I don't think we actually have. I think the plan is to play him at centre, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see him at fullback or wing, or I wouldn't be surprised if you see him in some other positions other than the wing. Just anywhere in the back line, really. You can probably slot him in there and he'd do a solid job. You also add in the fact that we just signed Jack Hetherington from Penrith, / the Warriors. He played at the Warriors a bit this year, but he was at Penrith. They were the one who actually had him. He was loaned out to Warriors because of the COVID stuff, and I thought he looked really, really good. It's just Panthers, look, they're a grand final team. It's very hard to crack their side. They've got a lot of good players in reserve grade, always have. So it's just a matter of finding some hidden gems, and maybe Hetherington's going to be one of them. At least he's going to add that aggression. You add it into guys like Napper and that, who already are kind of there, just need a bit of support. Then we add in a guy like Joe Stimson. He did sign last year from Melbourne, but he played a couple of games, then he had to get surgery that ended his season. So he's basically like a new signing. We've also got Corey Waddell from Manly. So I'm really, really liking the signings that the Bulldogs have made. And I feel like they're doing it smart. They're not going out and signing players willy-nilly and paying huge money for them, paying overs, but waiting for the opportunity to come. Because let's face it, 2021, we're not going to win a premiership, so we're probably not even going to make the top 8. So what's the point of going all out to try and just make the top 8? You may as well try and progress, get some more players developed, and then even if a guy like Addo Carr does make his way over, look, even better. That's even better. You got guys like Graham Smith who could develop, could not, and if they want to do a player swap at Melbourne, look, that's probably beneficial for both parties because he probably won't develop as much at the Bulldogs, and then we also get Addo Carr, who's a fantastic player, another one in the New South Wales system. But yeah, the Bulldogs, I'm really, really pleased with the signings. Kyle Flanagan, my sort of final comments on him is that, look, he's definitely got a lot of potential. He is still very raw, but he is still very young. And he's going to be working under Trent Barrett, who's apparently been very influential with the Panthers attack, which is something the Bulldogs have really, really struggled with. But we've seen how Nathan Cleary's developed, and Kyle Flanagan is a couple of years older. But obviously Nathan Cleary is an absolute prodigy. But Kyle Flanagan has also sort of been hyped up as well. So there definitely is some sort of talent there with Flanagan. It's just a matter of whether the Bulldogs can unearth it. I mean, I hope in a year's time we're not sitting here and Flanagan's now the new scapegoat for the Bulldogs. But look, we just have to wait and see. Even the fact that his dad, Shane Flanagan, is a former coach. He's not going to be at the Dragons anymore, but he's a premiership winning coach. Whether you love or hate him, I'm not a big fan of him. Really, really not a big fan of him. But I feel like he'd at least be beneficial to Kyle's career in terms of getting them going. And then Trent Barrett, he's not that far out from playing himself, so he kind of knows the modern game. I'm just very excited to see how Trent Barrett goes as a coach in general. We saw him with Manly. He wasn't fantastic. He wasn't great. I think they had 2 poor seasons under him, and then they had one sort of good season. So look, whether they can get the ball rolling with the Bulldogs remains to be seen. But look, I'm just very, very excited. It's the first time I've really gone into a season with the Bulldogs and actually had some sort of excitement in a couple of years. And look, there's a big chance that after a couple of rounds in 2021, I'll be going, oh, same old shit, same old Bulldogs. But look, I just want to see how they go. A very young team, but also a team with a lot of potential. So look, it does sound kind of like a team like Penrith, although Penrith obviously have a much, much better side. But look, the Bulldogs, that's the beauty of NRL. In an off-season, this side could have progressed a lot and could come out next year, come out firing. Like I said, guys like Stimson, who was there last year but didn't really get a go. Ockenball's another one who was kind of there last year but not really. And then you add in the actual signings they've made. Also, in terms of losses, like I said, Kieran Foran, Aiden Tolman, the only big ones. And Aiden Tolman, really, realistically, at the end of his career, I mean, I think it says it all that no other teams picked him up at the moment. he's kind of just, maybe a reserve grade standard player, maybe kind of off the bench, something. I don't know. He doesn't really fit the modern game, in my opinion. And the fact that we had him on big money as well, it throws up a lot there. So yeah, I'm very, very excited for the Bulldogs' future. Leave in the comment section below, what do you think of Kyle Flanagan signing with the Bulldogs? Do you think it's a good move? Do you think it's a bad move? What do you think of the Roosters getting rid of him? Do you think it was deserved? I personally don't. I think it's a great signing for the Bulldogs. And I think a lot of other sides would have been lucky to have picked him up as well. I think he's going to be a star of the future, and I think the Bulldogs are quite lucky to have just got him, especially in the circumstances they got him, because I think now he's going to have a chip on his shoulder as well. So I think that's a good move. But yeah, leave in the comment section below, what are your thoughts of Kyle Flanagan? Also, while you're at it, go ahead and leave a like on the video if you did happen to enjoy the video. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. It is very important that you do subscribe, and also turn on the notification bell, let you be notified that I've uploaded immediately. So go ahead and do that. Also, make sure you follow me on social media. It's on the screen right now. It's Mr. Luke on YT. My Facebook page is also in the description below as well. Same as my Snapchat. It's also on the screen. It's just Mr. Luke on YT. Haven't actually got it on there, but it's the exact same one. So go ahead and add me on that. And that's where I'm going to end the video, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.